All right, so it's about 10 o'clock at night. I'm completely inspired to build something. I really want to do a kit bash. So I went through my stash of kits. I found 2 kits from Fosscale Models that I'm going to try to combine that are going to sit on a concrete pier over in this corner. All right, well, this is going to be exciting. Let's get started. Okay, so again, we're working with a Fosscale Models kit. It was from the Kit of the Month Club, and it is called Pratt Boat Repair. Now we're going to cut the peak off of it and have it be a flat roof, because eventually we're going to build a second structure on top of this. Okay, so I cut out the walls and I need to cut that peak off. Notice I didn't do it with one cut. I think it took me like 4 cuts. That way you get a nice, smooth, even cut. Now we'll just double check to make sure that they're all the same height. Perfect. Now I'm going to attempt to shorten the front and shorten the back. Now it's very important because actually all the sides, I guess you can tell the sides are longer than the front. So just make sure you're cutting both the front and the back. Now what's tricky is we're going to actually try to cut that notch out of it. So there's the front, there's the back. Now you'll notice there are notches cut for the side walls to fit in there. Now we could cut the tab off and glue it directly to the side. I wonder how that would affect. Let's see. It would go behind it. Yeah, let's cut the tabs off and we'll just glue the front wall to the front edge of this wall. Okay, now, let's see. We can glue it together, and then we have to put these pillars on there. Now some of the pillars that get glued on the sides have an angle on them because it used to have a peaked roof. So we just want to cut those straight. Okay, now I probably should have done this first, but these 2 pieces, this is for the big garage door and this is for the side door, they get glued on the inside to make the wall thicker. It gets glued in the front, I believe. Yeah, there's enough room. Okay. Yeah, you should definitely do this while the walls are flat and not glued together. Have to do a little bit of filing to get rid of those little nubs on there. Okay, there. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the pillars. And it says to do, I believe, the sides first. So you have thin ones. Four thin ones, 4 thick ones, and 2 more thick ones. Okay, so 6 thick ones, 4 thin ones. And again, file your little nubs so it's nice and flat. It definitely takes a little while to file all your pieces, but it's very important that you do that. They'll fit together better and it'll look better when you paint it. I glued the 2 thin ones on this side. Now I'm going to do this side. First, though, what I did was I took my file. You want a nice corner on there. I put just enough glue where it seeps out just a little bit, and you can just run a piece of, I'm just using one of the corners that gets glued to go right along there and pick up any of the extra glue. Oh boy, I made a mistake. I glued that to the outside and it should have been on the inside. Let me see if I can fix this. Okay, but then I need to see if I can't get that pillar off of there. Okay, there. That's better. I could tell that it wasn't perfectly square, so because I cut those tabs off, this wall is sandwiched in between the front and the back. You always run into problems when you aren't building it exactly how the instructions tell you. Thankfully, this back corner won't get seen at all. It actually goes up against a concrete wall. I'm going to run some glue along here and then just lightly go over it with my finger. Okay, now I'm going to spray a gray primer on this and then we'll paint it. Okay, I sprayed it with a gray primer, and now we're going to take a sponge and sponge on the color Thicket from Americana. Now we want to pick at the sponge so that we get some odd shapes. We don't want it to be flat. Now we'll have to go in with a brush because with the sponge we're not able to get into the corners. Okay, I've got all the sponging done. Now I'm just going to take a small brush and go into the little corners. And you can see I'm dabbing it. I'm not painting it. I'm dabbing it just so it has the same texture as the sponge. Okay, now we're going to take aloe and we're going to dry brush the whole thing. And we're using a very soft brush. Now I'm going to start on the back just to get a good feel for it before I start going over the rest of it. Okay, it is all painted. I even painted inside there, inside the doors and windows. Hopefully you can see that texture good. Now, if the texture in spots are a little too rough, just take some sandpaper. I'm using 110 grit and just go over it real light. Important to go in one direction. Okay, let's move on to doors and windows. Okay, so I just simply spray painted it with a off-white. Now I'll go ahead and cut all of this out. Okay, we're getting our doors and windows glued in place. I took a sponge and bittersweet chocolate and first lightly sponged on some rust. Then took some pastels and did some streaking. Now notice there's some broken glass. Very easy. Best to use a brand new blade. So you take, here is our door, and very lightly hopefully that showed up good. Very simple. Now we'll just simply get this glued in place. I'll get the windows glued in. Now the kit does come with some signs, so we'll quick cut those out. Well, first we got to add some rust to them, of course. Okay, I've rusted all the signs. Some are definitely more rusted than others. Okay, we'll set these aside because I may want to put some of these on the second story of this. Okay, for the structure that sits on top of this, we're going to be using this one. And we're simply going to cut it straight. And so this building here, this little building on the side, will probably go in the back. Okay, so I just took a quick break and built this one. This goes in the same location that we're working on over in our waterfront area. It is this kit right here. Now I put a door. Well, this is covered in corrugated paper that I painted. And it's flat, where on the kit you'll see it's at an angle. So I just made mine flat and cut a piece of cardboard, put it on there, and then I have a set of stairs. This is from Tichy, and that'll go on the side, and we'll have railings up here. And I still have to do black tar paper on the roof and a smokestack. Now we'll get back to our regular scheduled program. We'll get to work on this one. Okay, I've got my walls cut out. This is the front. it's two different types of wood. You've got scribed and then clapboard. And it goes like that with the garage door going right there. Now, I thought I could cut that because it is the same width, but you can see the door is way over to this side. I want it centered. So I'm going to have to cut more. Maybe I'll do the same thickness as here. I'll measure this and cut it there. There'll probably be, there might not be overhang. No, I'll probably go right to the edge. And then, so we'll put a wood deck up here, and the deck will, say this is the deck. We'll take the roof card. Okay, so it's completely covered, but it's going to stick out. And then we'll have to put angled supports going back to the wall. That way that door can be centered over that one. And then we'll put a big hoist, a pulley up here, centered. Yeah, and then this, let's see, that'll go back to about there. Maybe we'll cut that shorter. Cut a third of that off to have that little structure in the back. And because it has a door, so that would be your way onto that deck up here. I don't know. I'll put the door on the side or in the back. I'm not sure yet. Okay, let's get this measured and then see how big of deck that we need to put on this. Okay, so the deck is cut. I still have to glue it on yet. I'll probably stain it first, and then that gets trim put all the way around all four sides. And you can see there's an overhang. Not much, so we'll just put some angled supports, maybe three or five, I'm not sure yet. Okay, then we have our structure that sits on there. That's the front. And we have the sides. We'll have to put a sign big enough to cover up that little slit right there. Because on the kit, the structure, the small structure goes to the side. We're putting it on the back side. And then here is the very back wall. It gets painted black. There it is right there in the picture. Alright, let me get this cut out. We have a lot to do. We got to get this painted black. I think I'll put nail holes in these. Then we'll stain them. And then we'll paint it. I think I'm going to paint that structure on top white. And we don't need these little pieces. These were for the base, but there's no base, so, or we're not putting it on a base. So okay, so I stained the walls using marine teak. Then you can see at the bottom it's darker, and up on the sides a little bit darker. I used black. Now I thinned it with water and just lightly brushed over the bottom edge, and then just kept brushing up, and it just got lighter and lighter. So here's a finished wall. And you can see I went over it with an off-white and gave it a peeled paint effect. So I just load my brush with off-white and very lightly drag it over it. I'm not painting it solid, I'm just lightly dragging the brush. And as more paint comes off, I can then start to dry brush it. So I just spray painted all of the doors and windows with an off-white, the same off-white that I sprayed all of these doors and windows with. I've never done white trim on a white building, so I thought I would give it a try. It's a little different color white. It's close. I also sprayed the corner trim with the off-white. Okay, here we are so far. I did some sponging of white around the trim. We'll have to get our angled supports under there. I have so much fun. My true passion is structure building. I absolutely love it. And I love kit bashing because you are constantly problem solving. This structure was on the side, and I had to shorten those walls so that this could go in the back up here. So I cut that. Let's see, that sits just like that. And then this will go in the back. Now when I put it up there, the peak of that roof was high, so I would have had to recut the roof card so that the line went back to maybe the center there. So I thought I just needed the wall to be an eighth shorter. Originally I thought, well, I'll just cut an eighth off the bottom. Well, then I would have had to cut an eighth in here so that the door fit. So what I did was I cut an eighth off of the top. So I just cut an angle and another angle. Well, the wood strips that are on here, that is all one piece. So I also had to trim that. So I just love that you're always problem solving, trying to make it all fit with the wood that's in the kit. Okay, I just added rust to the door. Always, when you are building a kit, dry fit everything first. So like with this door, you don't want to put your glue on it, then put it in here and realize, oh, it doesn't quite fit. So then you would have to carefully put it somewhere so that the glue doesn't touch or get on anything else. Then take your file it, test fit it, file it some more. Make sure it fits first before you put glue on it. You know, I was going to set this off to the side. I considered putting it flush with this side. But then when I looked at it, I think it looks nice having that door directly above that window, like they're lined up. It just makes it look like that's how it was planned and how it's supposed to be. Okay, we need to get our roof cards put on. Then there are windows you'll notice here and here, and those all get glued in, but I'm going to have them completely open. They'll be slanted out. So I'll probably do those last so they don't break off. Okay, we're making some progress. I've got the hoist painted and glued on. I may still do some dry brushing on that. I've got the railings painted and glued in place. Let me take the camera off and give you a closer look. You'll notice I've been picking out detail parts that need to be painted, and this is where I want to place them. Okay, I wanted to take a little break from working on the structures and get my pier built over here. So all I do is take lined notebook paper and scissors, and I just cut right on the lines, and I just cut thin strips. And then I just start taping them together based on where my structures sit and where I want the pier to be. So this is a kit that I've been working on for quite a while. It's Fosscale Models big year-end kit called Pelican Rock, I believe. I want that to sit there, and I need to make this opening bigger. I want it to be that wide. So I'll just have to carefully cut out that section so that boats can go in there, and maybe there's a crane with nets goes down and takes all the lobsters or fish off the boat. So that'll sit there, lines up with that. The new building that we're working on, that'll sit there, and this will be a ramp going up to it. So we'll have that there. We have a building over here. I thought about putting it that way. I like it this direction, facing forward. I think I need to add another piece over here, another piece of paper for our pattern, so it comes out a little wider. Then we have this one that will sit along there. This gets a tower in the back. I'm not sure how it goes. Okay, it's looking good. Like I said, I just need to add a little section over here so that they can walk around it on this side. So I'll set this pattern onto my pink styrofoam and cut it out. Okay, the styrofoam's all in place. You can see I made a ramp right here. And where'd my little structure go? And I've got that pretty close to the edge here, and that's fine. I may put railings here. I just want to make sure that they can walk around at least 3 sides of the building. Okay, now we have to make stairs that go down here, and I think I'll have stairs from this side too that go down. I'll put a landing halfway up in the center, and then another set of stairs going down to this level here. And I haven't decided if that's going to be concrete or wood. I'm leaning towards concrete stairs. And of course, all this has to get painted to match what we've already done over to the right of it. Let me take the camera off and give you a little better look. So again, we'll make the pink styrofoam match what we've already got here. And we'll put some of the pilings around it. We'll get that opening cut wider. So I wanted to give you a little closer look back here where the stairs will go on both sides. And I already have an area like that on the layout. Let me show you. So it'll be like this, but then I'll have to do another set of stairs coming down. I'll have to build a pad out in the center and then have stairs coming down on both sides. But that's what it'll look like. There's always so much work to do. All of this is one big piece. It just comes out of there. We'll remove that because I have to weather that wall back there. And we'll probably put some signs on that wall. This too has to all be weathered once we get our stairs put in there. And then obviously this too all has to be weathered. But we'll have pilings, ladders. It'll look a lot like that and this over here. All right, well, I'm thrilled with how this area is turning out. And as you can see, it just takes time. I've been working on this for maybe 6 days now, in between cutting kits, packing kits, shipping, answering emails, just taking care of business stuff. But also trying to find time to enjoy the hobby. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.